So the honeymoon period is over. The post Caitlin Clark era at Iowa is not looking great. It's not looking great. And yeah, they've had a couple of rough losses in a row. Again, I don't think it's not like they've lost to bad teams. They've lost to teams that they're unranked now. They've lost teams that could or could not be ranked. But they're 2-4 in conference play right now and on a 3-game slide, which is not good at all. But yeah, it isn't ideal, and they don't have an easy run in. They really don't coming into the tournament. By the time it gets to the tournament, and at this stage, are they guaranteed to make the tournament? I'm not entirely sure. Like, I thought at the start of the year, top 25 ranked team. That's what kind of where they were. And look, I think in women's basketball between like 15 and 30, anything can happen. Like, there are a lot of unranked teams like that are very, very strong. Like, we've seen how good Utah were, how good Utah have been as a team. They beat Notre Dame. But when we're looking at the rankings, it's always just kind of a tough one, because it's not like, you never know about strength of schedule, and Iowa's schedule has been tough because they played a lot of really good unranked teams. But the way they've been playing recently, they're on a 3-game slide, all 3 of them close. Like, there is no shame whatsoever in losing in a really tight game to Maryland. There's no shame at all in that. But then you go and lose to Illinois by 5. Like, Illinois are good. Like, I mean that. Like, Illinois are genuinely good. When Iowa were ranked 23, they're now completely unranked. Like, Illinois are a good team. And they lost to Indiana, who were a good team. Like, it's not like they're losing to bad teams. Like, Illinois are 12-4. They lost to Indiana, who were 12-4 as well. Iowa are now 12-5. But like, these are good teams. Like, I'm pretty sure both of these teams have been ranked at different stages during the year. They lost to Maryland in a game that could have gone either way, who are the 8th ranked team in the nation. They lost to Michigan State by 2. Who are they still? They're still ranked, are they? Michigan State are 13-3. They're the 22nd team in the nation. So, like, they are thereabouts. They beat Iowa State, who were ranked at the time. They lost to Tennessee in a really close game, who are now seen as one of the better teams in the nation. So, it's one of those situations where it's like, I think they've been very, very much have a much tougher schedule than it seemed. But the 3 losses in a row, 2 against unranked teams. It even, like, they even got trendy hoop stars who were able to go out there and go at Iowa. But the biggest problem with Iowa is, like, their players that are meant to be really stepping up are now starting to struggle. Like, I think Addie O'Grady's been pretty decent. I think she's been okay. I think Stolke and a Fulter were meant to be. They were meant to be those elite players. Addie O'Grady wasn't really, and I think Addie O'Grady's having a decent year. But, like, Stolke's averaging 12.8 points per game of 46% shooting. Stolke last season, like, look at her percentages. She is down 16% on the year. Hannah Stolke is shooting 11% from 3. This is somebody that people thought were, like, saying, 2026 fever taker in the first round. Hannah Stolke is now shooting 11% from 3 on the season. She is playing 5 more minutes a game than last year, averaging less points on 20% nearly less shooting from the field. But the reality is that not having Caitlin Clark to just get you the ball is going to make you have to create your own shot, and Stokey's been struggling. Lucy Olsen's been okay. Like, okay is the only way I'm going to describe Lucy Olsen. I had people in my comment section going crazy at me for saying Lucy Olsen was a 3rd round pick, and they were like, no, Lucy Olsen, fever taker with number 8. And I literally responded, I'm like, she is more likely to be undrafted than even be a 2nd round pick. Like, she is probably not going to be a WNBA draft player. But she's down to, she's shooting 26% from 3 and 41% from the field. Like, I get it, she's putting up 16.4 points. But she's been one of their better players. But the big problem has been Sydney Fulter. Like, Sydney Fulter has been, like, she's just playing poorly. Her points are down. She was meant to be the like, star player. But, like, the bench have been good. Taylor McCabe's had some really good games off the bench this season as a junior. But like they're young players. It's just such a tough thing because like Mulaney has had some really good games. Their freshmen have had some good games, and it's a tough one to see because you've got 10 players that are at a very similar level as players, and it's their first year without Caitlin Clark. That's the reality of the situation. And like some people are calling for Jan Jensen's head. I don't think that's the reality of the situation. I think maybe the expectations were too high. And I do think Iowa are around a top 32 team in the nation. I said it, and I'm like, if they made the sweets, if they make the tournament and make it to the second round, it's not been a bad season. If they win a game in the tournament, it's not been a bad season. If they make the last 32, that's what I would say. You know what? Or is that the second round tournament? I was like, that's what's kind of to be expected of them. That's what is to be expected. If they make the Sweet 16, I think Iowa should think that this is an incredibly successful season. And I said their max, if everything went right, they could make the Elite Eight. And I still stand by that. That's kind of the level they are. But it's just after all the success they've had in recent years, losing 3 games in a row is something that I don't think anyone thought was going to happen. And even this year, like, I think had they faced some of these teams earlier, maybe, but they're on a little bit of a slide. And you're seeing again the struggles. I think maybe Caitlin Clark I think Stolke's got that bit of a potential. I think that maybe playing with Caitlin Clark made like a Sydney Fulter who last season got a lot of her buckets off cuts. It made Sydney Fulter look like a better player. And I think a lot of these players maybe were a little bit overrated because of playing with Caitlin Clark and because they were, and it's not just saying like, oh, Caitlin makes them look better. These players fill the role. Like Hannah Stolke, how many points she got from just running. And like Caitlin Clark, because they didn't have size, she needed a runner. She played so well with the Hannah Stolke. A Fulter was cutting. Like these players, they don't make the championship game without them last year. But Lucy Olsen is having a decent year. Like she is genuinely having a decent year. She was very poor against Indiana, and she's having a bit of a poor stretch in games. But this is where it's like where you see the big difference. You see the big difference between having a really good player in Lucy Olsen. Don't get it twisted. Like a really good player. Like she was on the top 20. It was top 25 for the Wooden Award. Like she was on the list for that. But it's where you get a top 25 player and arguably the best college player ever in Caitlin Clark. And that's where the real difference is. It's starting to show the big difference between last year and this year. And it's the gravity and everything around. And no matter how well Lucy Olsen's playing, it's such a tough thing for her to take over from Caitlin Clark. It's such a tough thing for Jan Jensen to take over from Lisa Bluter. So it is going to be interesting to see what happens. And hopefully, honestly, Iowa can just have a good season. They can go and make the tournament. They can kind of figure things out because right now, like in their Big Ten ranking, they are, like if you were taking a look, like Iowa in the Big Ten they're behind Michigan with an injured Silas Swords. Obviously, Illinois are 2 and 3. They're 2 and 4 in the Big Ten, which is not great in conference play. They've been really struggling. And even in terms of overall record, like you're looking at this team down quite low, and they don't have the easiest run for the rest of the year. Like I don't think that even a Rutgers is easy. Like Minnesota are good. They have to face USC in the Caitlin Clark jersey retirement. Oregon aren't a bad team. Washington are doing well. Ohio State are really good. UCLA. So they face Michigan, Wisconsin. They have a hell run in the rest of the year. And you're looking and just at this stage, hoping that Iowa can put it together to make sure they make the tournament. But anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it. That's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.